Ever wondered what really goes on, behind the closed doors of a U.S. visa interview? You hear stories, maybe a friend went through it, but today we're not just scratching the surface. We're diving deep, a full practice interview.
Exactly. We've got the full transcript of the simulated U.S. visa interview. Think of it like being a fly on the wall, right? Jake is playing the visa officer, Amma's the applicant.
Yeah.
And it's written in this really natural conversational style, so it gives us a fantastic, almost like unfiltered look.
Yeah, and that's the goal, isn't it? Our mission isn't just to replay it. We're going to unpack this whole exchange, understand the key questions, figure out what the officer is really looking for, and, point out what makes for a good interview. Hopefully, by the end, you'll have a much clearer picture of it all.
Definitely.
Okay, so kicking things off, even the start seems pretty formal.
Oh, absolutely. The officer starts with a simple good morning, but then immediately asks for the passport. It's not just procedure, it sets that formal tone right away.
Right.
It's how they confirm who you are, pull up your details. Basic, but essential.
Got it. The essential first step. Then it looks like they jump pretty quickly into the big question. Why are you going? Purpose of travel?
Yep, Amma just says tourism, clear and simple. But what's interesting is she immediately adds specifics. New York, Niagara Falls, LA. That detail. It's not just random. It shows she's actually interested. She's planned a bit. It subtly hints at her real intentions.
That makes sense. Shows some actual thought went into it. Okay, now, the question I know a lot of people wonder about. Family in the U.S.
Yes, that comes up. The officer asks straight up, any relatives? Amma mentions her sister, lives in New Jersey, she's a nurse. But here's the important bit. The officer follows up, asks if the sister is sponsoring the trip.
Oh, yeah.
And Amma says very clearly, no, I'm paying myself. That's a really crucial clarification.
Crucial how? What's the underlying thing there?
Well, the officer has to gauge the risk, right? The likelihood someone might overstay or, end up needing U.S. support. So when Amma says up front, I've got this covered financially, it directly tackles that worry.
Okay.
It strengthens her case, shows she won't be a burden.
Okay. So nail down the why, lay out the family connections, clarify who's footing the bill.
Yeah.
Seems like that's all right at the start. What's next?
Then the focus pivots. And this is arguably the most critical part. Her connections back home.
Ties to her home country.
Exactly. They're trying to figure out your immigrant intent. Basically, how likely are you to actually leave when your visa is up? They need concrete reasons, anchors, tying you back.
And how do they start digging into those anchors?
First thing is employment. Amma said she runs a boutique, and she's owned it for 12 years.
12 years, wow.
Yeah, self-employed. That long-term ownership, it's not just a job, right? It signals stability, investment, real roots in her community.
Totally. 12 years is a serious commitment.
Yeah.
And I bet the officer wants proof of that stability.
You bet. The officer asks about documents, proof of her financial situation. Emma confirms she's got bank statements, tax returns, even property papers.
Right.
It's not enough to just say you have money. You need to show verifiable evidence. Your financial standing, the resources you have, both for the trip and your life back home.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? For you listening, what hard proof, what documents would you have ready to show your own stability?
Good question. Showing, not just telling.
Okay, so the conversation then shifts to the nuts and bolts of the trip itself.
Yeah, the practical stuff. Planned length of stay, about 3 weeks for Amma. And crucially, she mentions she's pre-booked her return ticket for a specific date.
The return ticket. That feels important.
It is important. It's not just a piece of paper. It's tangible proof she intends to stick to the visa terms and actually go home. That's key for the officer.
Yeah, it's like a concrete promise to return, isn't it? What comes after nailing down the dates?
Then the officer briefly touches on previous international travel. Amma mentions trips, Dubai, Singapore. Okay, does that matter much?
It can, subtly. It's not just about liking travel. A history of trips can suggest she understands immigration rules, that she's probably followed them before in other countries, which is seen as a positive sign by U.S. authorities.
So having some stamps in the passport can actually help. What about the specifics? Like what exactly will she do in the U.S.?
He asks about her itinerary. Alma gives details. Times Square, Statue of Liberty, Disneyland, tourist spots. Plus, spending time with her sister's family, it adds more weight to her tourism reason. Makes it sound more concrete than just, I want to see the sights.
It makes it feel more real, doesn't it? Like she has actual plans. It looks like the interview loops back to her life at home.
Yes, and this is vital. It reinforces those ties we talked about. Alma stresses that when she gets back, she's straight back to managing her boutique. She mentions her employees, her loyal customers.
Right.
It highlights her ongoing commitments, the reasons she has to return.
And The officer even drills down on that, like, who's running the shop while she's gone?
Exactly. Emma says her husband and her manager are handling things. That just reinforces the idea that it's a real ongoing business. It'll run while she's away, but her role is essential. She needs to get back to it.
Then the talk broadens out again. Her family situation, beyond the sister in the U.S.
Yep, another crucial layer for assessing ties. Amma shares she's been married 20 years,
Wow.
has a son studying engineering. Her husband works in real estate right there in their hometown, and they own their house plus 2 rental properties.
Okay, that sounds substantial.
It is. It's strong evidence of very established long-term roots. And interestingly, the transcript notes, the officer actually says those are strong ties.
Really? He says it.
Explicitly acknowledges it,
Yeah.
which is, a very positive sign during the interview.
Definitely sounds like those deep-rooted long-term commitments are exactly what they're looking for. The interview also gets into why now, why this specific time to travel.
Right. Alma explains it lines up with the holidays, plus her boutique has a planned closure for maintenance anyway.
Convenient.
And her sister invited her, since the sister is also on vacation then. These are all logical, sensible reasons for the timing, adds credibility.
Makes sense. And then the money question again. Who's paying comes up, but with more detail.
Yes, the officer revisits the finances. Alma clarifies. She's paying for her flights herself. She'll be staying with her sister.
Okay.
It reinforces that earlier point about self-funding, potentially lowers any perceived financial risk.
Travel insurance also gets a nod. Seems like just a responsible thing to do.
Absolutely. Confirming she has it for the whole trip shows she's prepared, responsible about potential issues.
Then the officer double checks. Does she know anyone else in the U.S. apart from her sister's family?
And her answer is simple. No, which just supports the idea that the trip really is about tourism and visiting her sister. Keeps the narrative clean.
And it seems like having some things booked in advance can help too.
Right.
Like tours.
Yeah, the fact she's already booked city tours online for New York and LA, it suggests, again, a well-thought-out plan, a genuine intent to do touristy things. It just backs up her stated purpose.
They even get down to her daily budget estimate.
She says around $100 to $150 a day. It gives more context to her financial planning, shows she's thought realistically about costs.
Okay, now, this is a tough one. The question people probably dread. What if the visa is rejected?
Right. And Emma's answer is quite smart, actually. She says she'd respect the decision and she'd think about reapplying later, maybe with better preparation. It shows respect for the process, willingness to learn, improve her application, leaves a good impression, even talking about a negative outcome.
That's a good way to handle it.
Yep.
And then she actually gets a chance to argue for herself why she should get the visa.
Yeah, she sums it up nicely. Clear plans, strong finances, and really strong reasons to go back home. She basically hits all the key points the officer's been probing throughout the interview. It's a good summary of her case.
And of course, they have to cover the basics, past visa history.
Standard checks, but absolutely critical. Has she ever overstayed before? No. Ever been refused a visa before? No, she says. This is her first U.S. application.
Clean record.
Which is obviously a big
Man, the moment of truth.
Yes. The interview wraps up. The officer tells Emma her visa is approved.
Great.
And you can imagine her relief. She expresses her thanks. End of interview.
So, okay, let's distill this for you, the listener. What are the absolute key takeaways from watching this whole practice session unfold?
Well, several things really jump out. First, the massive emphasis on proving strong ties back home. We're talking job, family, property, things you're committed to long-term, verifiable ties.
Right, Ty.
Second, showing you can pay your own way, financial stability, proof you won't need to work illegally or rely on U.S. resources.
Financial independence, yeah.
Third, clear travel plans, knowing why you're going, what you'll do, and crucially, having that intention to return. The return ticket helps there.
Clear plans and intent to return.
And finally, just the way you handle yourself. Being respectful, honest, prepared, that demeanor counts for a lot.
Absolutely. Whether you're actually planning a trip or maybe you're just curious about how these things work, this kind of deep dive into a realistic exchange, it really gives you a feel for the conversation, what the officer's trying to figure out. Super valuable, I think.
It really is. And it makes you think, doesn't it? How would you answer those questions? What documents, what proof would you pull together to show your ties, your finances?
Yeah,
Thinking about that now can be incredibly helpful if you ever are in that situation.
exactly. So maybe the final thought for you today is just about that. The power of being prepared and clear. These official processes, like visas, they can feel daunting, but understanding what the officer is concerned about and being ready to address those concerns honestly with clear evidence,
Yeah.
that's valuable no matter what your specific situation is. It really is universal.